Good evening, everyone. Welcome to PWOnlyIAS. English YouTube channel, as well as to the comprehensive current affairs batch students. Anjali, Shanu, Gunjan, Samarth, Aditi, Durgeshwari, Tarani, Ishika. Please confirm whether the audio and video is clear. Fantastic, Joya. Hi, Farshin. Good evening. All right, people. So we are continuing with our discussion. Today, we will be going through the 4th, 5th, and the 6th chapters. The 4th chapter, which is again the next topic, external sector playing the long game. So external sector, when we talk about, we should understand it talks about both capital account, current account under the external segment. And I have always told you the easiest way to remember capital account and current account is, whenever we say capital account, always remember it will be bulk single time payments. It will be a huge amount, a bulk amount, not just one amount alone, but bulk amount it will be. And it will be only done once. That is, if I are borrowing money from World Bank, then that will come under what? That will come under capital account. It's just a one-time thing. Clear? And it will be bulk. Whereas the current account that you generally talk about, that will involve what? Imports, exports, remittances. It is there every month, every day. As we speak also, somebody is sending money, somebody is receiving money. Got the point here? So, let us look into it now. Trends in nearshoring, friendshoring, trade concentration. So, what is this nearshoring? What we see here. Nearshoring, friendshoring, trade concentration index. 22, 23, 24, 25. As you observe here, the green color, if you notice, it is going down, 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 and it is reducing further and further. And what do you mean by nearshoring? Nearshoring means you are immediately doing trade with very few people in and around you. Geographic proximity of trade relationships and shows whether countries are sourcing from nearby partners or distant ones. Nearshoring index is calculated as the reverse of the trade weighted average distance in kilometer. That means, are we doing trade near or far? That is the question. Then, friendshoring involves increased trading with economies with politically aligned stances, and the friendshoring index is calculated as trade weighted political proximity as measured by UN voting pattern. Trading with economies with politically aligned stances. That means your political partners. You're together, like US, UK, US, Europe, India, Russia, like that. Third one is what? Trade concentration. Describes how much of the global trade is concentrated in a small set of countries. So what are we seeing? Friendshoring actually started going up. Then 24, it started coming down. Then once again, we can see it is rising up. And overall global trade concentration also, if you see, initially trade was concentrated between what? The friendshoring countries. Later, that is also getting into the negative territory. That means the whole world was going through what? Uncertainty. No clear pattern, no clear trade relationship, nothing. Moving further. The Trade Policy Uncertainty Index and the Global Economic Policy Uncertainty Index peaked in April 2025. Over here. That is a sign when trade concentration also went down. So it makes perfect sense that there was uncertainty around this time period. The Trade Policy Uncertainty Index is constructed by staff in the International Finance Division of the Federal Reserve Board. Now, you are going to come across a lot of indices like this in this PPT or in this PDF. Read it. What it is, basically, what is its purpose and which agency releases it. The index reflects automated text search results of the electronic archives of 7 leading newspapers discussing trade policy uncertainty. Which are those newspapers? Then, index is scaled so that 100 indicates that 1% of news articles contain references to TPU. According to data from UNCTAD, United Nations Convention on Trade and Development, friendshoring trends have consistently remained above the average level seen in calendar year 2021. Global Economic Policy Uncertainty Index is a GDP weighted average of national economic policy uncertainty indices for 18 countries. GTPA, Global Trade Policy Activity Index, developed by economists from WTO and IMF. Global Trade Policy Activity Index form a wide range of information on trade policy measures. Index captures fluctuations in the trade policy. Yeah. Now, the Trade Policy Uncertainty Index reached its peak during March-April. Then slowly it started coming down. Then it picked up again. Started going down again. So, that is Uncertainty Index. What about Economic Policy Uncertainty? That also, if you notice, has been up, down, it is going on. No clear trend. So, this is the bottom line. Bottom line is there was too much of unpredictability in that last 1 year, where we couldn't even predict where the things are headed. Now, let us see in this scenario, what was the trend in India's trade performance? India's share of global merchandise exports has nearly doubled, rising from 1% to 1.8%. Commercial service exports from 2% to 4.3%. Which means what? Export sector really did well last year. I already told that to you in the earlier class. It has already done incredibly well. According to UNCTAD's Trade and Development Report 2025, India ranks 3rd among countries in the global south in terms of the diversity index of trade partnerships. 17 follow, sorry, not 17. That 17 is the quote number. 1 minute. Following China and the UAE. 3rd among countries in global south in terms of diversity index of trade partners. What does that mean? Tons per unit. So, what does that mean here? Here it simply means we are having trade with anybody and everybody. That is the bottom line. Our export destinations have started increasing. Earlier it was USA, number 1. Then it was Europe. But because USA gave us NAMA, USA told, we are going to put this much amount of tariff on you. We decided to diverse our portfolio. Started exporting to new nations, started signing free trade agreement. In financial year 25, the total exports amounted to US $825.3 billion, registering a 6.1% growth. The highest levels of exports ever recorded. This performance is primarily attributed to the growth of service exports, which experienced a 13.6 year-on-year increase. At the same time, the country's total imports also increased by 7.4% and stood at US $919.9 billion. Surplus in services trade cushioned the merchandise trade deficit, and consequently in 25, the total trade deficit amounted to 94.7 billion. What does that mean? Most we had merchandise trade deficit. Merchandise means goods, solid goods. In that we had a trade deficit. As you can clearly see from here, imports was around 919 billion. What actually helped to cushion it, like take the brunt? Service sector exports. IT services, banking services, financial services, all of that. That helped to cushion it. So, if you look at it again, total exports, total imports in pink. 21 we managed to narrow it. 22 widened, 23 widened, 24 again narrowing it down. 25 again we can see 825 and 919. This is the comparison between the two. 825.2, 919.9. There is a trade deficit here. Clear? Taking it further forward. In financial year 25, export composition was predominantly concentrated. So what did we export so much more? Petroleum products. For some of you at least this will be a shock. Petroleum products, but how? We take the crude oil, we refine it, and those products are sold. Next comes telecom instruments, drug formulations, and biologicals. That is anything to do with anything and everything to do with what? The medical industry. Collectively, these sectors account for approximately a quarter of the total exports. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what amounts to 25% of our exports. These trends are a testament to the country. So, exports of telecom instruments witnessed a significant growth of 51.2%, while those of drug formulations and biologicals experienced growth of 11.2%. These trends are a testament to the country's increasing strength in electronic manufacturing and reaffirm its position as a global pharmaceutical hub. How is it that electronic manufacturing is increasing? See, what is happening here is we have the necessary establishments here, manufacturing units, etc. are there. Problem is we don't have all the components or all the machinery parts. So what we will do? We will import those components. And then whatever goods, telecom equipments or instruments are there, we manufacture it and then we export it. It is not that we have all the technology available with us. All the hardware we have it? No. We have to import it from abroad. We import it, we assemble it, then we export it. So what is happening here is when a country makes that move, that is when do we know that the country is actually doing good is, this is a phase where economy is growing. And with that growth in economy, you can see a small level of growth actually happening in the manufacturing sector. How? By means of exports. How is manufacturing increasing? Because as we are growing, we are importing more and more goods. What type of goods? Goods which are mostly intermediate goods, which will improve our exports. So for more export growth, if you need to achieve it, you need to import better machinery. That give and take will be there till you start your own manufacturing units for every machinery part, component, you manufacture it in the country. Till that, this will go on. Clear? Steady gains were observed in exports of electric machinery and equipment, ready-made garments made from cotton and motor vehicles. Merchandise imports increased by 6.3%, primarily driven by a rise in non-petroleum. That means it was not driven by crude oil. Then non-gems. That means it was nothing to do with gems and jewelry. And jewelry imports. Driven by non-petroleum. That means non-petroleum, non-gems means everything else. Whatever you are importing. Any other component other than these two. Third one was jewelry. Gold alone, close to 30% increase was there year on year in import. Higher demand for critical intermediate inputs and capital goods indicating a resilient domestic demand. This is what I was talking about. Intermediate inputs and capital goods. These two put together was actually creating that impact. Import composition continues to be dominated by petroleum crude, gold and petroleum products. That is even now, these are the main things that are driving our import. In that, gold, high price. Gold imports increased by 27.4%, which was driven by strong domestic consumption. That is, two factors literally played havoc in the import sector. One was obviously a rise in gold prices. Second one was what? Even though the price of gold was very high, the demand, domestic demand became even more higher. Performance of agricultural exports. Agricultural exports increased. Between financial 23 and 25, countries' agricultural exports have stagnated. That means it has not increased. According to the WTO's World Trade Statistics, all these report names, people, if possible, write it down separately and keep reading it. The country's share in global agricultural exports has increased only modestly from 1.1% in 2000 to 2.2% in 2024. This clearly shows how bad our agriculture sector is. Reason being that more than 50% of the population are employed over here. And yet, export sector, if you notice, in the last 24 years, agricultural exports have only increased by what percentage? 1.1. That's it. Trade performance of production linked incentive scheme sectors. PLI scheme. Whatever schemes I mark out, please revise it in full. Which year it was announced? What is its purpose? What is its current position? Under which ministry it comes? Okay. So for PLI scheme, you have IT hardware, ACC batteries, electronics, solar photovoltaic cell, and specialty steel. So ACC batteries means what? That is your chemical cell batteries, advanced chemical cell batteries. AAGR is average annual growth rate. Some data, like what and all we are importing. These trends indicate a scaling up of production capacity and the integration of value chains, suggesting that domestic manufacturing is not only maturing, but is also beginning to leverage imported intermediate goods to facilitate higher value exports. That means what is really happening in India today is, exports are largely now, why are we able to export so much? Because whatever other countries are needing, we are manufacturing it here. How are we manufacturing? By importing critical components which are needed as intermediate goods. So with increase in our exports, our imports are also increasing. Then, diversification of India's export destinations and import sources. This is basically a list of those countries where we have started now diversifying. For example, from USA, a drop of minus 44.3. US share in India's total exports of gems and jewelry decreased to 18.7% from 33.7. Where are we sending in now? UAE, Hong Kong. For gold, it is Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, France and UK. Precious stones, Canada, Mexico, China. Then whatever free trade agreements we have signed. Marine products to Asian countries. Vietnam, Malaysia, China, Belgium, Russia, Denmark, Germany, Poland and Sri Lanka. Auto components or parts. Again, USA, we reduced. Exposure to UAE, Germany, Belgium, Slovenia, Myanmar, Brazil, Nepal, Bangladesh. UAE's share in India's exports of auto components has increased to 5.3% from 3% during this period. Textiles and allied products export. Again, USA we left. We started moving into Africa, Europe and South American countries. Pharmaceutical products, again, Vietnam, Nigeria, Italy, Russia, Netherlands, Brazil, France. Once again, a combination of Africa and Europe as well as a few Southeast Asian countries. Got the point here, people? Paper products, again, Africa, Asia, Europe. Leather products, Asia, Europe. Yeah. Just go through it. That is what I am asking you. Just go through it because they have made it in separate beautiful tables. That is the reason you will cover it. Clear, people? Yeah. Other point is, the shares of US, Egypt, UAE, Nigeria and Libya have increased. In what? In oil imports. India ranks 44th out of 145 countries on the Economic Complexity Index. Now, what does that mean? Economic complexity index. Ultimately, whatever products we are exporting, they are not technologically very complex or very high-tech products. These are, they are mamuli products, textiles, rice, auto components, marine products. I mean, look at the exports, whatever we are making, gems and jewelry. There is nothing so highly technological which gives us a certain strategic advantage where other countries will be like, oh my God, if we don't get this from India, we are gone. Our economy is gone. That sort of situation is not there. That is the reason why we have a modest ranking in the economic complexity index. Clear? This can be attributed to India's export composition, refined petroleum, diamonds, jewelry, packaged medicines, and rice. And much of the country's export growth comes from products that fall into low and mid complexity categories. That means not so high on technology. Same thing goes for product complexity index also. Ranks the diversity and sophistication of the productive know-how required to produce a product. Productive know-how means what? How to produce it. How are you going to produce it? That know-how also, when you talk about it, is not that packaged medicines or rice or even refined petroleum, diamonds and jewelry. It is a very critical process. No, nothing like that. Maximum here a critical process, if you really see, it's only refined petroleum and maybe with the polishing of diamonds. The rest of it is pretty much straightforward. Clear, people? Economic Complexity Outlook Index, COI, is a measure of how many complex products are near a country's current set of productive capabilities. A low complexity outlook reflects that a country has few products that are a short distance away, so will find it difficult to acquire new know-how and increase their economic complexity. In other words, they have what? A very less complex products. Technologically not that advanced. So it will take time for them for what? To increase their economic complexity. Say for example, now we are finally entering into the semiconductor field. But by the time India becomes a leader in it, or India finally gets to, upgrades itself to the level of what semiconductor technology is there in the world, it will take time. Clear? Pharmaceutical sector's transformation in the aftermath of the TRIPS agreement. Lessons for India Inc. Now, pharmaceutical sector, how did we grow so much? First thing to understand is, the pharmaceutical sector, which had expanded under the process patent regime of 1970 patent, faced a sudden change in its operating environment when the TRIPS compliant product patent regime took effect in calendar year 1995. Process patent. And then you have what? Product patent. So initially, we were all very happy with this. Process patent. What does it mean? See, there is a certain process through which you can produce a drug. Okay. A drug. Only this process will be patented. Process means what is the method by which this drug is produced, not the drug, not the product. This meant what? I can take this product, do a little bit of reverse engineering, find what are the components there, then through a new process, I can make a similar drug. Very similar it will be in terms of therapeutic effects. Formula, slight change here and there, cosmetically maybe a change in color, only that much will be there. Got the point here? Only that much will be there. But otherwise, when you look at it, treatment, everything same. So for this, India was very happy. Process patent right, because rich multinational companies will spend billions and billions of dollars and will discover a drug. What will India do? Take it from the market, do reverse engineering, produce it through a totally different process. Everything was going smoothly. Till what happened? Product patent came into picture. Once product patent came into picture, the issue now was the same drug now. Okay, the same drug now on this patent is there, where for 20 years nobody can touch it. Either as a part or in full, you're not supposed to extract any part of that drug for any production purpose. India was taken aback. Now what to do? That time what we did was that we actually, believe it or not, we actually started investing in research and development as well as in the pharmaceutical sector. We started entering into contracts with other countries, with other companies, which will actually help us to bypass this product patent. So we started entering into deals, etc. So what is this particular topic telling? Like a case study, they have presented this. That is pharmaceutical sector's transformation in the aftermath of the TRIPS agreement. Lessons for India Inc. That is, this is the same thing what we should do. If we need to get into our manufacturing sector, we want it to improve, or we want our artificial intelligence sector to improve, our IT services to improve further, what should we do? Number one, invest more in research and technology, research and development. Number two, get into collaboration with other companies and other countries of the world. Together, start manufacturing things. You will get the technical know-how, bring it back to the parent country, that is to our country, bring it back, put it into practice, which is exactly what we did in the pharmaceutical sector. And today, look where we are. Getting the point here? This shift challenged the very foundation of India's competitive advantage, reverse engineering and cost-efficient process innovation. Sector leveraged the disruption to develop deeper capabilities, expand into new markets, and strengthen its integration with global value chains. They began investing heavily in formulation science, that is how to make formulas of medicine, transitioning R&D from reverse engineering existing drugs to creating new chemical entities. Cost-efficient novel drug delivery systems and complex generics that meet global regulatory standards. So complex generics, again, even when we today also when we talk about generic medicine, many people have this notion that they are not safe. Far from true. Some medicines, yes, have ran into trouble in Sri Lanka or be it even in Africa. Some generic medicines manufactured from India have run into trouble. It has led to the death of children also, not at all denying it. But those are just one or two cases. It is not that all the generic medicines from India are unsafe. They are actually who certified? WHO certified those medicines are. Got the point here? And what is the reason for it? The reason is these are again manufactured by proper companies. Got the point? Proper companies manufacture it. It is not that in some dark room, dark shed, they will, one bulb is there at the top and in very unhygienic conditions they are manufacturing it. Absolutely not. So correctly we invested, we made changes. Rather than only doing reverse engineering, we started discovering new chemical entities, new chemical structures, formulas, how to make cost-efficient drug delivery systems. It is how to deliver the drug directly to the right place. Not only through orally, there are multiple ways. You can inject it, you can use nanoparticles, multiple ways are there. You can use virus as a vector, carrier, dead virus. You can use that as a carrier to deliver your drug. Yesterday only we saw. Getting the point here? That is the logic. Allopathic medicines are so high simply because they are manufactured by foreign companies. Article 27 of the TRIPS agreement mandated patents to be granted for any invention, including product and process, in all fields of technology that involved an inventive step and was capable of industrial use. Just note that one article there because it can come as a question. Article 5 of the Patents Act 1970, which allowed patents for the process of manufacture, was amended in 2005 to permit only product patents. All right. The second primary strategic response was rapid market diversification, targeting regulated markets such as US and Europe by filing large scale drug master files. So, for APIs and abbreviated new drug applications. Yeah. Drug master files means it contains all the chemical formula, the entire process involved in the manufacture of the drug. You share it with what US and Europe. Once they give approval means it is like you have got world approval. Got the point here? Because USA as well as Europe have very high standards, very strict standards they have. Once you're able to deliver, they have given you approval means you're able to sell it in Europe or you're able to sell it in USA. That recognition alone is enough. You will be able to sell it in other countries. Submission of detailed information of facilities, processes or articles used in manufacturing, processing, packaging, and storing of one or more human drugs. In parallel, India's emergence as a global hub for contract research and manufacturing services is attributed to the country's strong scientific talent and production costs that are 30 to 40% lower than those of other nations. Contract research and manufacturing services. What is this CRAMS? See, now let us say you are a company. Okay. You are a company in Europe. But in Europe, labor costs are very high. What is the next best option? You will look for some cheap labor and at least some decent facilities should be available. Next option is what? Approach India. Why approach India? On a contract basis. Why? They will provide you the research and manufacturing service. Got the point here? This way, what happens at collaboration? See, any foreign collaboration, the biggest advantage is we will get access to that the latest technology, we will get access to it. Got the point here? Latest technology. Taking it further forward. Yeah, then obviously the benefits of FTA, export promotion mission, then credit guarantee scheme, exporters, for exporters to provide financial assistance to exporters. All of this has helped in improving our export. Clear? Any questions, people? Done. Services trade. Now, I have always told you service sector and remittances. These are the two major components that is actually saving us to a certain extent because our imports are generally much higher than our exports. This actually puts what? Pressure on rupee. But to counterbalance it, we have service exports and remittances. Service exports still fine. It is still going on. There is no issues as such. Remittances, when you talk about, what is happening here? Because of protectionism. happening, especially with, let us say, in US, European Union, to some extent even in Australia. In these countries especially, somewhere in the Middle East also, I'm not denying it, Middle East is also not so welcoming anymore like how it used to be earlier. Even they are trying to switch to, trying to give jobs as much as possible to the locals. With these sort of protectionism measures simply means I want to protect my industries, I want to protect my people's jobs. So the idea here is, when you try to do that, USA will only give jobs to US citizen, European Union will only give job to Europeans, Australian only to Australian citizens, so on and so forth. What happens? Indians who can go there will reduce. Even because of this Trump, now this last 1 year, what has happened is there has been a drastic drop in the number of students who will go to USA. It has dropped a lot. And because of this uncertainty that is there with Canada, even people visiting Canada, students going to Canada, even that has dropped. Got the picture here? So what happens when number of Indians who are going abroad reduces? Remittances will come down. What are remittances? Basically, money sent home. Simplest way of putting it is what? Money is sent home. By whom? People who are sitting abroad. Correct? Whoever, whichever Indians are there abroad, they'll be sending money home to their parents, to their family, whatever. That is that money. And this is fluctuating now, remittances. There was a time when this had crossed $100 billion. But of late, if you notice, the amount has come down. Clear? Sir, is access with new tech comes with collaboration with other technology, and that comes to foreign policy. Can you break that question in a little more simpler manner? Your question itself is so complicated. Why India directly jumped from agriculture to services? Yeah, why India directly jumped from agriculture to services is largely because we didn't invest properly in manufacturing sector. Manufacturing and industrial sector. The transition did not happen. So what ended up happening was that when USA, Europe, etc. moved towards service sector, they needed employees to work here. That too, they needed it cheap also. Because hiring people from there was not sufficient. And the thing, let me be very honest here again, it is USA, Europe, etc. If you really notice, who has built all these companies, be it from US or Europe, it was all built by Asians, either the Chinese or the Indians. You can take it from me. The average American citizen or European citizen has got no interest in this. Trust me. Why is it that there are so many Indians or so many Asians there in these places? Because they will only work for that minimal hours, drink their beer, go to sleep. That's it. An average American is only that much. Only in movies it is nice to see American cop is all fit and fine. You check out an average cop there. We do have cops here who are having big belly, but that is largely because of indigestion, not eating on time. There you have obese cops there. They hardly walk, they hardly move around. My point of telling you this is, so ultimately USA and Europe needed people to work in their companies. And we were already having our engineering colleges, etc. here. And we were able to converse in English. So whoever they could grab like that, they kept on grabbing. So two things happened because of that is, it ended up creating this whole culture of employee culture. Not entrepreneur. Got the point here? Access to tech not just depends upon foreign policy. Access to tech depends even on how much India is ready to invest in R&D. It depends upon multiple factors, not just foreign policy alone. Multiple factors are involved there. How much are you putting in for research and development? How updated your education system is? How much amount of investment private sector is ready to put in R&D? All that matters. Simple example is, in the entire world, if you notice, private sector dominates more than the government when it comes to what? R&D, research and development. This is the trend in the world. Whereas India has this paradox. What is that paradox here? Government actually spends much more than private in what? R&D. What is the main reason here? Because the colleges are not at all linked to the market. Colleges in our country are not at all changing the curriculum or not updating things based on the market demand. The syllabus inside colleges, schools, etc., if you still notice, it is from 80s or 90s era. Now they have started updating it. But otherwise, if you see, for the almost like 30-40 years, education system has remained stagnant. That's the point. Correct? Service exports reached an all-time high of US dollar 387.5 million, registering a robust 13.6% growth and reinforcing India's position as a global hub for technology, business, and professional services. Services imports registered a growth of 11.4%, that is US dollar 198.7. Why it is happening? Because of cross-border demand for business and financial services. Why this cross-border demand? That is, Indians sitting here are demanding foreign business and foreign financial services. Why will that happen? Investment outflow. Indians are making money. There is no doubt about it. And that is the reason why some of the very rich investors in our country, they are not actually investing in India. They are investing abroad. Got it. Taking it further forward. Now, let us look at the trend here. India's service trade performance. The service trade surplus we have been having always. That is our import. This is our export. So, always more than the import we are exporting. Difference is 84.9, 88.6. So, 84.9, 88.6. 84 to 88, 88 to 107. This is showing it as low. Then 107, 143, 162, 188.8. It's going on increasing. That is the bottom line. Clear? In financial year 25, computer services exports accounts for over 2/3 of India's total software service exports, while BPO services remain the most significant component of ITES service. India's BOP, balance of payment. The balance of payment, is it positive or is it negative? Balance of payment. Is it positive or is it negative for India? People are going to give the exam. Positive. Negative. Actually, it is supposed to be 0. Negative means you have shortage of dollars. Positive means you have surplus of dollars. Ideally, it should be balanced out. That means whatever money I have to receive, whatever money I have to give, It is entirely balanced out. Look at the definition itself. It is a statement that provides a consolidated record of India's transactions with rest of the world. Consolidated record. Of India's transactions with the rest of the world, capturing developments in the current account and capital account, and offering a comprehensive view of the economy's external sector. That is what it is. Entire current account, capital account. What is the final amount? So it has to get balanced out completely. Nothing to give, nothing to receive. So ideally it should be what? 0. In India's case, even if you say it is negative, it is still correct only. It is not entirely wrong. The reason being that we do have what? A huge current account deficit. This is very high in India. Because like I told you, imports are more than exports. So if you say it is negative also, it is not entirely wrong. I've said this earlier also. In the interview, one of my acquaintance, long time ago, a question was asked by the chairperson, a lady. What is balance of payment? India's balance of payment, is it negative or positive? So he answered initially negative. Which like I told you, it's not entirely wrong. It is not that somebody will punish you for that and all. It is like, okay, not correct completely, but it is okay. It is admissible. But what this chairperson did was that she later said, no, it is positive, right? It is positive, right? To the other 2 board members. Both of them joined with her. They were like, yeah, it is positive, it is positive. Now what did he do? Changed his statement immediately. He said, oh, sorry ma'am, it is positive. 2 blunders there. One blunder is what? You told them very clearly now you don't even know what is balance of payment. You told it very, very clearly. Number 2, it again showed that if a little pressure is put on you, you will change your stance. Needless to say, from that, after that question, the entire interview went downhill. Scored less than 100 marks. Like in double digits. The interview score I'm talking about, it was in double digits. Got the point here? Net merchandise in green. Net merchandise, if you see, we have always been, it is on the downward side. What does this mean? Minus 150, minus 286.9. What does this tell us? This basically tells us that we are always importing the merchandise goods, whatever we are importing, that is always on the negative side. More than what goods we are exporting, we are importing more. Number 1. Number 2, net transfers. Transfers means money that is sent by people who are sitting abroad to India, plus money sent by people sitting in India abroad. Plus and minus you do finally. Net transfers, we can see it is always on the positive side. Why? All thanks to our forefathers who are only good at what? Manufacturing babies. So all the Indians put together who are outside the country, they are sending in more money. That is the reason why this is always on the positive side. To some extent, this 123.4 is able to what? Absorb brunt of this imports, whatever we are having. Private transfer inflows. Again, inflow. Gross FDI inflow. Got it? This is the point. That means what is really keeping our economy balanced is these days FDI inflows, remittances, service exports. Earlier, inside the same list, FII also used to be there. But with FII, currently what is happening is FII, there is more of FII outflow that is happening. And this is being counterbalanced actually by DII, inflow. That is within the country, there are more and more people who are actually what? investing in the share market or investing in the equity or mutual fund. This is balancing out this. Earlier, FII inflows, foreigners investing in India share market, that used to be a factor. So with all these dollars coming in, dollars are coming into the country. Rupee value was getting stabilized. FII and FDI. See, FII simply means, I'll tell you. Very briefly, I will tell you. FII simply means I am investing in the shares. I am a foreigner investing in the shares of the country, shares of any company. That is, I'm sitting abroad and I want to buy. I'm a US citizen who want to invest in Indian share market because India is growing. So I can do it through FII. That means foreign institutional investment. I will contact one of the banks there in USA. That bank will contact some other financial institution here. Through them, I will make the investment. Just like share market. Just like if you want, you also can go and buy the shares of Ambani, Adani, whatever. Whenever you want, you can sell it out also. Correct? You don't have to actually ask anybody. You can sell it whenever you want. Same way, as a foreigner, I can also sell it anytime I want. There is no conditions as such. Then you have FDI. FDI means what? Foreign direct investment. Direct investment means I am coming into the country, I am buying land, or I am collaborating with another company here and setting my factory up. For example, Harley Davidson was selling their bikes initially. Okay, they did not have any plant here. They were simply bringing the bikes from USA. They were trying to sell it in India. It became a total flop because the price was double. Only few people could buy it. Hardly, very less people only were able to afford it because the starting bike, average bike also used to start from 6 to 8 lakhs back then. They left the country and went. Closed all the showrooms here. Later, what happened? They collaborated with a local company here. And now they are again producing Harley here with local collaboration. Design and all, it's like, to be very honest, in comparison to the original American-made Harley, it is pathetic. But for some Indian riders, at least they have that satisfaction. Yeah, I'm driving Harley Davidson. But it is not entirely what? Fully manufactured by Harley. No, it is in collaboration. That is FDI. Got the point here? The other way of remembering this is, FII is always known as hot money. That is, any time you want, it can leave. Told this earlier also, this is just like your ex, first girlfriend or boyfriend. From where did they come? When did they go? Nobody will have any idea. Shh. Gaya. FDI is like an arranged marriage. So many people are involved, multi-level discussion happens, countries, prime ministers, leaders, buzurg, the elderly people, everybody get together, that agreement, this agreement. They sign all the deal. These people purchase land. They will hire people. They will try to even bring their technology. All of that they will do. They won't leave easily. So it was literally one jhatka moment when Ford actually left the country. Nobody was expecting it. Even most, other than a few of the top level management here, nobody knew at the ground level that this is going to happen. Exactly. If shares are sold out, value of rupee will decrease. Exactly. Because what is happening? I'm a foreigner. I bought Indian shares. While buying Indian shares, what had happened? I told them, hey, take the dollar, give me the rupee. I gave the dollar, took the rupee, bought the share. So rupee's demand is high. But later I am seeing that, oh my God, USA is developing better. So what will I do? I'll be like, hey, take your rupee, give my dollar. Dollar demand will go up. So FII outflow is always bad news, to be very honest. It is always bad news. So that is one more reason why our rupee value is going on shrinking down. That is the reason. And to quote, unquote, Nirmala Sitharaman, it has nothing to do with the Indian economy. It has all to do with what US economy is going strength to strength. That is the reason. When US economy starts developing, everybody will start investing in the dollar. That is the logic. Clear? Gulf Cooperation Council, that is GCC, the entire Middle Eastern countries usually dominated India's inward remittances. Advanced economies now contribute more, indicating a shift towards skilled and professional workers. So earlier, chunk of the money used to come from this GCC countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman, Muscat, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, from all those countries. Now it is coming from where? Lion's share from advanced economies. Why from advanced economies? Because their professional people are in demand now. USA, Europe, any country, now they don't want these laborers, etc. They only want high intellect people there. Because laboring class, etc., they don't have they are like, no need. That we have our locals here. We want only the very intelligent, high functioning people here. So that is the reason why even you to get a job in USA also it is no more easy. You're already employed in India in, let us say, a foreign company working in India. Then you try to apply for let us say a post graduation or for a job in USA, you still have a chance to get. Otherwise it's difficult. Macroeconomics textbook, skill sphere, macroeconomic textbook, NCRT. I think the last chapter it is. There is a box given. What and all comes under capital account, what and all comes under current account. Refer that and tell me whether FII and FDI comes under capital account or current account. Capital account development. Okay, US is the top contributor with 27.7%, followed by UAE, the UK, and Singapore. From these are the places from where we get what? The highest level of remittances. Capital account development. The capital account records how India interacts with global financial markets through cross-border investments, external borrowings, and other capital transactions, and is central to understanding how the economy finances its current account needs. It's all about capital. Either the investments made by India outside, investments coming into India, most of the capital flows, cross-border investments, and other capital transactions. Other capital transactions means what? Loan. Loan it is. Loan you're taking from World Bank, like I've told n number of times, for building the city of Amaravati. Capital account. Got the point here? So sometimes can borrowing money from World Bank, can it Tell me. C. 1, 2, and 3. Samarth, Gunjan, Harsh, Gauri, Sunanda. Loan takes World Bank. I didn't understand that. Anjali. All right. Correct answer is D. All of the above. What is a currency swap? Currency swap means today. Let us say now, okay, on 14th February, India and Japan agrees to swap their currencies. That is, X Indian rupees will be exchanged for Y amount of Japanese yen. After 5 years or something, they will re-exchange it back at a predetermined, already decided exchange rate. That is currency swap. As you can clearly see, Indian rupee is exchanged for Japanese yen. Japanese yen is being exchanged for Indian rupee, like that. So what is the advantage here? You're not touching the dollar. Dollar increases internationally, rupee appreciates internationally, Japan depreciated internationally. None of that will matter because I already decided, okay, 14th February, I'm deciding. 14th February 2026, okay, I'm taking this much of yen from Japan. Japan will say, okay, I'll take this much of rupees from you. 5 years later or 10 years later, we will re-exchange it back at a predetermined exchange rate. That exchange rate will be fixed. Market increases, decreases, none of it will matter. Got the point? Option 4, I'm not able to read. So, this is correct because you are not involving dollar there, number 1, and already interest rate is fixed. Number 2, external commercial borrowing limit is raised. What is this external commercial borrowing? External commercial borrowing means companies in India, they are borrowing from abroad. The limit is increased. That is from 250,000. Let us say RBI decides this, by the way. RBI says that, okay, from $250,000, now henceforth companies can take loans up to 500,000 US dollars. Companies can borrow money from abroad. If interest rate abroad is very low, like 2%, 3%, etc., trust me, Indian companies will borrow from abroad. Got the point here? They will easily borrow. Because for them it is like, wow, what a godsend opportunity. Because 90 also if you keep, 9 into 5, 45. Then 1, 2, 6 zeros. That's the amount that they go out with. That much of money they get easily. And you have to play only 2%, 3%, they'll be very happy. But imagine, when you are increasing external commercial borrowing limit is raised, more and more private companies will borrow. More dollars are coming in. And I've always told you one thing. Whenever dollars keep entering into the country, rupee value will go up. Always remember that. Whether it is coming as loan, FII, FDI, export, remittances, external commercial borrowing, doesn't matter. Dollar is entering the country, rupee will appreciate. Dollar is leaving the country, rupee will depreciate. Got the point? Increase in import duty, obviously. You are going to increase the import duty. Automatically, what happens? Import is restricted. So, when import is restricted, what happens? You end up paying more. You end up paying less. Import is reduced. That also will help in arresting the depreciation of rupee. Last point, place a minimum lock-in period for FII withdrawals. That is 3 years minimum, 5 years minimum. Certain accounts are there, certain investments are there. In government has made that rule. That is lock-in period is there. If I invest in that particular segment, I cannot withdraw the money at least for 4-5 years. If I am withdrawing, then I'll obviously have to pay a penalty there. That is purposefully done so that if sudden withdrawals doesn't shake the economy. So that will also help. Bottom line is what? All of the above. Got the point here? Global trends in FDI. Global FDI inflows. Totally, if you see, global FDI inflows has declined by 11% in calendar year 24, marking the second consecutive year of contraction. Downturn was driven by a 58% fall in FDI to Europe and a 29% decline in China. Impact of higher global interest rates have raised the cost of capital for long gestation projects. What is that? Impact of higher global interest rates have raised the cost of capital. Everywhere, if you notice, loans have become costlier because interest rate is high. So when interest rate is high, people will not borrow. Correct? People will not borrow. People won't feel like borrowing. When I cannot borrow and I will feel, okay, in my own country, I'm getting this much rate of return. Let me put the money here only. Let me invest in my country only. Why should I take it to India? And people are not ready to wait for those projects which has a long gestation. Long gestation means long time duration. In this regard, only one country managed to attract better investment, FDI investment. That was USA because of AI. Clear? Okay. Trends in investment flows in India. According to UNCTAD data, while India recorded a marginal decline of 2% in FDI inflows in calendar year 24, it remained the largest recipient of gross inflows in South Asia and surpassed major Asian peers such as Indonesia and Vietnam. The decline was relatively modest when viewed against the sharp contractions experienced by several large economies. So India also had a lesser FDI, no doubt about it. 2% less. But entire world, when you see, India was doing pretty well. Taking it further forward. India ranked 4th globally with 1,080 announced greenfield projects. What are greenfield projects? Projects which will start from scratch. Like Amazon came into India. Amazon did not collaborate with anybody here. Amazon straight away came. They set up their business, everything. They bought land, they bought warehouse, they started hiring people. That is a greenfield project. No local collaboration, nothing. There is nothing you have purchased here. You're coming here, freshly you're starting your business. Walmart. They have also entered into the country. But how have they entered into India? They have collaborated with Flipkart. They purchased Flipkart. Flipkart already had. See, actually, Amazon played a very cunning game. Flipkart did all the donkey work. Donkey work is what? Advertising. Teaching Indian people, conditioning Indian people to, okay, change your behavior. Let us buy things online. They changed the Indian mentality. They spent too much on money, on marketing, this, that, everything. Amazon just kept on waiting. Once they started seeing the data, like to what extent Indians are shopping online, once they got to know, okay, Indians, now they are used to shopping online, Amazon entered. Now it became very difficult for Flipkart to compete with Amazon. But they didn't want to sell off their company to Amazon either. What they did? They tied up with Walmart. Walmart came over here. Walmart did not buy land, did not try to do anything. What they did instead, they bought shares of Flipkart. Flipkart utilized that money for what? For expanding their operations. So now we have two players now. What Amazon did is greenfield. What Walmart did with Flipkart is brownfield investment. Got the point here? Which is well ahead of Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, Mexico, and China. India attracted investments across various categories, including digital services, data centers, and IT infrastructure. So net FDI, if you see, is climbing down, 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 and down. Got the point? Repatriation. Repatriation means taking it out. Over a period of time, if you actually notice, it is climbing up. More and more money is going out. Gross inflows means total, whatever is coming, blue color. Increasing, decreasing, increasing. No continuous trend or anything. Clear? These are examples of best practices which you can use in your mains answer. Way forward. How India can improve its FDI. What Vietnam did, what Malaysia did, and what Philippines did. Okay? Read through it. Then once again, World Bank's Logistics Performance Index. Okay? Share of developed and developing economies in global OFDI flows. One minute. Yeah. Outward foreign direct investment. Outward. I was just looking for that word. Outward FDI. Observe, okay. Outward FDI from developing economies. Increase, peaked up during that corona time period and then moderated at 30.5. Outward FDIs in developed economies decreasing actually. This was the high point, this is decreasing. That means FDIs that are flowing out from developed economies, that has reduced. From where? From 2000 to 2024 when you see, overall if you notice, it has come down. Can you see it? It has declined. That is one more reason why FDI has generally gone down. Ulta scenario, what about developing economies? FDIs are increased. What FDIs? Outward. Because the rich people here in these economies, in the developing economies, they are now investing where? In the developed economies. Clear? This is again geographical composition of India's outward investment. Net FPI inflows into India. 14, 15 it was high, 16 it dropped, 17 picked up, 18 picked up, 19, 20 drop again, 21 picked up, 22 drop, 23, 24 picked up, 25 it is a drop, 26 it is in negative territory. No clear trend, but last 3 years it has gone down. One major reason again, tariff, then uncertainty. VRR voluntary. 1 minute. Not able to VRR. Okay. Voluntary retention route. This is what I was talking about. Voluntary retention route means retention. The money is retained. FPIs invest in Indian debt instruments with the condition that they will retain at least 75% of their investment for a minimum period. Currently, it is 3 years. This is like a lock-in period. It is kept. Money has to be locked and kept. Under which route? VRR. FIR is again access route. Fully accessible route, I think. Yeah. Fully accessible route permits FPIs, NRIs, OCIs, and other eligible non-residents to invest without quantitative caps. Without quantitative caps means what? No restriction. No restriction in the amount, repatriation limits, or sectoral restrictions. Means what? No restriction in the amount, no restriction like you have to keep it locked in, no restriction even to say that you can only invest in this sector or that sector. None of this. In G-Secs, known as FAR bonds. G-Secs are government security. They are also known as FAR bonds. Why FAR bonds? Fully accessible route bonds. That means FPIs, NRIs, OCIs, and non-residents also can invest in government bonds. Clear? Forex reserve. India's foreign exchange reserve increased to US dollar 701.4 billion as of 16 January 2026. It is sufficient to cover around 11 months of goods imports and about 94% of the external debt outstanding at the end of September 2025, providing a comfortable liquidity buffer. Foreign currency assets, which formed the liquid core of reserves, softened slightly from US dollar 567.6 billion to 560. Gold component rose sharply to US dollar 117.5 billion. From what value? From 78.2. Exchange reserve between 1st April and 2025 and 15 January 2026, Indian rupee depreciated by approximately 5.4% against the US dollar. INR was one of the most depreciated currencies alongside the Japanese yen. Other Asian pairs experienced relatively lower depreciation, such as Philippine peso minus 3.8, Indonesian rupiah minus 1.9. Currencies of economies such as Australia, Brazil, and South Africa appreciated during this period. FII outflows, tariff-related measures, and episodes of elevated foreign currency demand and import growth. What led to this depreciation? FII outflows. We have already seen this. Tariff-related measures because of USA. Episodes of elevated foreign currency demand. Why? Gold, silver, crude oil import. And again import growth. Clear, people? Depreciation or appreciation. Net FDI, and this is current account balance. So depreciation, if you notice again, whenever current account balance has been on the negative side, that means we are importing more, currency has depreciated more. So over here, if you notice, financial year 13, this is a little too old, minus 11.9%. Here, minus 7.8%. Again, minus 7.3%. So whenever the currency will keep depreciating, whenever our imports have climbed up, to some extent they have been balanced out because of FDI. Clear? Yeah. Now the next $1 million question. Currency depreciation can lead to costlier imports, inflation, reduction of exports, make exports competitive. Which is the correct answer here? Shalini A, Samarth A, Harsh 1 only, Sunanda B, Harsh 2, Harsh 2 and 1 also, both you are telling. Gunjan only 2, Sunanda Devi B, C, B, C, 1 and 2, only 1. Currency depreciation can lead to costlier imports. Is that true or false? I've always told you, when a currency depreciates, export sector will feel happy. Imports will feel sad. Why? You have to pay more for your imports now. In India's case, the depreciation has actually helped us in increasing our exports. That is the reality. I told you, exports is the highest growth now. So the depreciation of our Indian currency to 90 or 91 has actually encouraged our exports. Import will become costlier when currency depreciates. That is a correct statement. This point is correct. Second, currency depreciation can lead to inflation. Again, true. Why? Because imports are costly, right? So I am buying a costly oil, crude oil. I am buying costly gold. Costly, what is it? Whatever I am buying, petrol, diesel, or crude oil, coal, gold, silver. All these are very, very costly, right? You call it imported inflation. Imported inflation. Why imported inflation? It has nothing to do with domestic factors. You are buying a expensive product from outside. Therefore, when you convert it into Indian rupees and finally sell it here, price is very high. So yes, it will lead to inflation. Second point is also true. Third, reduction of exports. I already told you, it will not cause what? It will actually encourage export. Reduction of exports is what? Wrong. It will actually increase it. Make exports competitive. Exports becoming competitive simply means your exports will increase now. Correct. 3 are correct. 1 is wrong. Question is, how many statements are wrong? Only one is wrong. Answer is A. A is the answer. Any doubts here? Any doubts, anyone? So that question somebody had asked, right? Our inputs are more, inflation increases. What's more? Not necessarily because of that, Harsh. It is basically to do with the fact that your rupee currency value has gone down. You have to pay more to buy anything from outside. So you end up paying more. That is the reason. Because your currency value is low. Option 2 will be wrong for China. As in? Can it lead to? Understand the question here. Who said that? Who asked that, by the way? Harsh. Currency depreciation it is. What China is doing is devaluation. There is a difference between the two, even though both are about currency value going down. Depreciation or appreciation happens because of the market forces of demand and supply. Which currency is in demand, or which country is exporting more, which country is importing more. Based on that only you call whether a currency is appreciating or depreciating. What China is doing is purposefully keeping their currency value low. That is devaluation. There is a difference. Devaluation, yes, it is not necessary that it will lead to inflation. It is not at all necessary. Because it is again dependent on what product you are buying there. Profit make well. Whose profit? Then how to fourth correct? Please explain. As in? Profit make well. Whose well? Whose profit? Where is profit here? Making exports competitive means exports will increase. That is what it means. How it's related to competitive? Day. What is competitiveness? Exports being competitive means what? Your exports are increasing. That is what it simply means. Export competitiveness refers to a country's or firm's ability to produce goods and services that succeed in international markets, maintaining or growing market share through superior quality. So if your product's quality is very high, your export will increase. Number one. Number two, lower prices. The price of your good is very, very low. If it is cheap to buy it from you, everybody will buy it from you. Simple. Exports becomes competitive when currency depreciates. What is there to confuse here? Competitive word you are not understanding. Competitive means what? Competitive means you are the leader there. Chinese exports are competitive. Why? Because the price of the Chinese goods are so cheap. Nobody can make a product as cheap as China. That is why they are an export surplus nation. Getting the point here? China is able to provide goods at a very cheap rate. Today, China is trying for what? Provide it at a cheap rate along with quality. You put smiley and all means I won't be able to understand. You tell your question properly, then I can clear it out. Half of the people here wants to sit and do drama. So somebody had asked, say, why we skipped. That is from straight away from primary sector, we jumped into tertiary sector. Take Japan, South Korea and Taiwan. Production shifted progressively towards machinery, transport equipment, electronics, precision instruments, and other complex manufactured goods. They all slowly went into what step by step manufacturing. While they were busy doing that, what was India doing? India was into import substitution. We will try to make everything here only. We will not import anything. We were into what 5-year plan? There's aggression and supply from some other kind of aggression. NV Gaming, break down your question. If you're asking a hypothetical question with no clear examples, forget it. These sectors connected domestic firms to global supply chains, creating export streams that were larger, more diversified, more durable than those based on primary commodities or low value assembly. That is what happened. Ours was still what primary commodity based or low value assembly based. We don't have any major electronic manufacturing component here. Correct. What major manufacturing thing are we doing here? Nowadays, only cars or automobiles have started picking up. But otherwise, nothing is there. Machinery wise, electronics wise, electrical wise, large machines also you talk about, none of it we have it in our country. Clear? Taking it further forward. Same thing. In CY, calendar year 2024, Germany overtook Japan to become the world's largest creditor nation for the first time in 34 years, reflecting its sustained current account surpluses and strong trade performance. Net creditors to the world. That is, they don't owe anybody else. They don't have to give money to anybody. Whereas these are the debtors. USA being the largest one. Brazil, France, Spain, Mexico, UK, Australia, Greece, Turkey, Poland. India, you can see, is over here. One of the lowest. External debt, as usual, USA has the highest external debt. External debt to GDP, India has one of the lowest. Clear? Coming to chapter 5. Any questions here, people? Oof. Any questions? Global headline inflation. Emerging market and developing economies, it is at 5.3. World's inflation 4.2. India's is at 2.8. Advanced economies 2.5. China's it is 0. That means world over what is happening? Inflation which peaked during the corona time period over here. Peaked. But afterwards it is coming down. Got the point here? Aage. Global food and oil inflation trends, if you see. Food price index, let us see. From January, that is last year, it has declined. OPEC basket oil prices, it shot up. I mean, it went down. Sorry, not shot up. It went down, slowly picked up. It has again gone down. So that is also the reason. The two main reasons why India, not just India, world economies as such, were able to maintain very low inflation has a lot to do with what? Low food and low oil prices. When anybody says about this Palestine-Israel issue, or even for that matter, this Iran issue, etc., what is the real reason behind it all is to push the prices of oil. Don't write it in your paper. I'm just telling it to you. Because when oil prices starts going down drastically, there will be many oil companies which will shut down. They won't be able to sell oil at that price. Because it is not that today you discover an oil field and within next year you'll start making money. You need to invest billions of dollars and you'll have to wait at least 5 to 10 years before you start seeing some profit. That is the requirement. It's a capital intensive industry, means that much investment you have to make into it. So if oil prices crash down, it is not at all good for them. For all these oil marketing companies, oil producing countries also, what is good? War is there, some uncertainty is there, oil prices starts going up. That is good for them. Clear? Key metals inflation. In other current affair, in our previous class current affair, we had discussed this. If you remember. Look at that. Copper. By December, copper prices have gone up by 32%. Aluminium by 13%. Iron ore is hardly 2%. This is one more reason why we were able to keep a very low current account deficit. Why I will tell you. Iron ore it's 2%, correct? Only 2% rise. So with iron or steel, whatever I make, that price also will be very less. Critical machinery component, critical, machinery parts. Any component that you're talking about, which is made out of iron or steel, price will be less. You import it also, it is not going to be that costly. On the contrary, we know copper, it will take time. With 10 to 15 years minimum, you have to wait before you start mining and you get all the copper, you can extract the copper. Main component involved in almost every electrical component, including our electric vehicle. That means with increase in copper price, very limited mines available throughout the world, we can expect this year prices of electric vehicles to shoot upwards, either this year or next year. We can expect it. Got the point here? How will it affect oil prices? Joya, that entire area, Middle East area, Red Sea. This is Mediterranean Sea. You have European Union here. You have Africa here. Through Mediterranean Sea, you make a cut and you enter into Red Sea. From Red Sea, then you come down. You go through Indian Ocean, or you want to go like this, like that also you can go. These are the two options with you, correct? This zone, if it becomes a battleground, how are you going to transport oil? Crude oil, how are you going to get it transported? It becomes difficult. Supply goes down. Demand is very high. Price will increase. It's not necessary that immediately a price increase has to happen. But people will start speculating. Speculating means what? I think the price will increase now because there is a war going to happen. Iran, some issue is happening. Maybe the price will increase. People will immediately start investing in oil bond, oil commodities, oil derivatives, all of that. Prices will go up. Simple. Clear with that, Joya? China experienced significant deflation during the year, driven by weak domestic demand, export pressures arising from tariff regimes, and excess capacity in several manufacturing industries. This point you will only see it in China. Excess capacity. Excess capacity means what? You're producing too much. So when you produce too much, when you supply more than the demand, price will drop. That is why China experienced deflation. Average annual headline inflation. Headline inflation means total. For CPI, it's been declining, 1.71. Wholesale price index also, it is declining. CPI or WPI, which is a better indicator of inflation, and why? That's why Chabahar becomes important, correct? Now this thing here, CPI or WPI, which is a better indicator of inflation and why? See, Indu Madhi, there are 2-3 things here again. Okay, I'll come to that, but just answer this question. CPI, because of household consumption. Household consumption. So, what is so great about household consumption, Gunjan? Exactly, that is the right answer, Arun Kumar. CPI means it covers both goods and services. CPI actually means goods and services. Got the picture here? Now to answer Indumadi's question, Indumadi is basically asking, if currency depreciation happens, imported inflation happens. But our currency is depreciating against dollar with no significant inflation as per this data. Correct it is. But let us look at the reasons also for it. Now, imports in India has led to depreciation. But which component has actually led towards it? It's largely to do with gold and silver, whose domestic prices did increase. Correct? This last 1 year, close to 30% increase in gold import. 30% return in gold also. That is the irony. That is 27% increase in gold import. What was the return? That is, if somebody had purchased gold in January, they will get 30% return if you sell it in December. The gold prices had increased, no doubt about it. Number 2, the inflation being low. What is the logic here? Inflation, they are telling it is between what? Ideally, what is the bandwidth for it? It should be between 2% and 6% according to RBI. And where is it standing? It is actually standing at 1.33% as per official data. It is standing at 1.33%. Fine or not? Leave. RBI. Let us keep it like that. That is where it is standing. But RBI actually conducted a survey from the consumers. That is, what is the experienced inflation? How much inflation are you experiencing? And in the survey, they found out that people answered that it is around 6.6%. What is the reason for that? The reason is because of the base year. What is the base year for calculating CPI? It is still standing at 2012 level. Reference here, it simply means, so I am trying to find out the inflation for 2024 or 2025 using the data from 2012. That means today if I want to find, okay, how much does an average Indian citizen spend on e-commerce? That is OTT platform, Zomato, Swiggy, Amazon, everything. Let us say a certain price is there, 1000 rupees per month. Now I want to know, okay, 1000 rupees, 2025 they are spending. In 2012, how much did they spend on e-commerce sector? NA. Not available. Because in 2012, internet was a luxury. 300 or 400, 300, 250 to 300 rupees for 1 GB data. That to 2G. Got the point here? So the inflation data, the way we are taking the data, that is not correct. That is why we are revising the series now. Clear? So core inflation simply means what? It is that part of the inflation which does not include food and fuel. Food plus fuel. It is not there in core. Why? because food and fuel prices are always fluctuating. Multiple reasons. 2014 was an election year. Okay, so 2014 it did not make any sense to change it. Then new government. 2016 you went and did demonetization. Then you brought in GST, back to back jhatka. By the time you recovered from all of that, COVID entered. Then again election came. Because when you choose a base year, it is important that in that particular year, that base year, whatever you choose, it should be more or less what? Stable. There shouldn't be too many fluctuations in prices. That is like this, it is going throughout the year. Prices increasing, decreasing means you cannot choose that. It should be more or less stable. A stable value should be there. Then you can take it up. This is core, which stands at 4.62. Core excluding petrol and diesel comes at 4.81. That means petrol and diesel also, if I remove it, what are we seeing? The inflation is at a higher level. Excluding goods and services, it comes down to 2.27. Core excluding both. Whatever is fluctuating when I take it out, it comes down to 2.36. The prices of petrol and diesel for vehicles are also excluded from the core measure, which conventionally removes only food and beverages and fuel and light. So this will clearly give us what is the average value. Like this section, if you notice blue line, okay, sorry, yeah, orange line indicates that this inflation is largely to do with food. Whereas the red color, if you take, excluding both food, fuel, everything is removed, it comes down to very, very low. So whatever inflation that we talk about in our country, it is still heavily dependent on what? Food and fuel. That's the main driving force. Tomato, onion, potato, garlic. As you can clearly see, all their prices came down. Happy news for the government of India. Tomato, onion, potato and garlic. For onion, they had introduced what? Rail transport in 24-25. So that the prices can be controlled. Edible oil market in India is characterized by structural excess demand, with over 50% of domestic consumption met through imports, rendering domestic prices highly sensitive to global price movements, exchange rate fluctuations, and trade policy changes. Edible oil, palm oil, all of that. 50% we have it here. Whatever we manufacture, we consume it here. Another 50%, what is happening? We are buying it from outside. Because you are buying it from outside, what happens? Global prices. If global prices of these edible oils increases, in India also it will increase. Currency value depreciates, edible oil prices will go up. Trade policy changes, again it will go up. Producer price index. Harsh, from where are you asking these questions, man? When have you ever read in current affairs, whatever class we have taken, PPI, about PPI? Where is PPI used? In which country it is used? Oof. 2 steps forward you people will take, and then 10 steps you will go behind. In response to, see, when you get your question paper right, at least try to recall whether I have heard of these things in class at least. At least do that much favor. Did I even hear about this in the class? Have I heard about it in the class at least? Producer price index is an indicator which is used in USA. USA it is used. Why? Because it is a capitalist oriented economy to find out what inflation a producer faces. That is, what is the cost of manufacturing a product in USA. That is why PPI becomes important there. Whereas in India, we are not such a big manufacturing country. For us, whatever it is always about the consumer, the people, whether they are able to afford it. That is why for us, wholesale price index, consumer price index matters. What is available at the market value? What are we purchasing at the retail value? Nothing to say. You are again doing that same thing. Whoever you are, BBC Bhargav. I mentioned it in class. Producer price index. Oh, they were. In response to sharply falling prices, the government imposed, and I told you also, producer price index have been adopted in the country. Response to sharply falling prices, government imposed a basic customs duty of 20% on crude edible oil in September 24, which helped support domestic prices. Major components of core inflation. Now let us see what is major component that is leading to core inflation. Housing came down. Clothing and footwear, that is also down. Health, according to government data, that is also down. What is the major factor here that is creating havoc? This is from January to October, okay? Up, down, unpredictable. That is your transport and communication sector. In your economic survey, this is what they expect you to do. Find out the odd man out. Your logical reasoning skills is what you need for all these graph diagrams. What is standing out there? What is standing uniquely out there? GDP deflator, which we have already seen. GDP deflator simply means, again, it is that defined as the ratio of nominal GDP to real GDP. Nominal to real. Nominal means now. That means current prices. These are the prices adjusted for inflation. From this, you will get to know whether the economy is truly growing or not. From this one formula, you will get to know. Why? Because you can actually cut down on you can actually remove the effects of inflation. How do you remove it? Because see, ultimately, 10 into, okay, I produced 100 units of a product. 100 units. Its price is also 100. So 100 into 100, total value of the goods and services 10,000 rupees. Okay. Now, this is year 1. Year 2. I produced only 10 goods, but then price of it was 10,000. So if I finally calculate the value of the goods and services, it will show it to me as what? 1 lakh. So technically speaking, if I look only at the GDP here, it will look what? Okay, in year 1, value of goods and services 10,000. But in year 2, value of goods and services 1 lakh. So it may seem that in year 2, more production has happened. More production has happened. But when I factor in inflation, that is what was the price earlier. What is the price now? It will clearly tell me that growth has not happened. This is largely because of inflation. By which percentage our GDP is growing? Is it include both nominal and real GDP? See, it is represented using both terminologies. Nominal value as well as real value. Real value we need to know why to compare. That is from last year to this year. To what level growth has happened? GDP growth. There you need real GDP. But currently I need to know how the economy is progressing or not, whether the economy is progressing, etc. So how do I get to know that? There are many indicators for that. Is nominal GDP. Is nominal GDP increasing or not? How do I get to know? There are indicators for it. That is, one is your toll booths, FASTag. From all this, I will get to know that is more and more economic activity is happening. UPI transactions are happening. From that, I will get to know this year also growth is happening. Nominal GDP is increasing. So these increases, I know nominal GDP increases. I want to compare between 2 years and find out which is increasing, or between 2 countries and find out I go for real GDP. Fuel, it is only excluding petrol and diesel. Okay, it is excluding petrol and diesel, for which people actually spend higher level of money. Core inflation, when you talk about, it excludes what? Fuel and light. That is the reason. When will we get to know? Base year. Chetan Ingali. When will we get to know? As in, base year is something which you either you choose. Like I want to compare and see what was the period of growth during BJP and period of growth during UPA. So what will become the base year then? The base year of reference is 2004 to 2014. That becomes the base year. That is how it is calculated. Telugu language of medium in interview. I have no idea about it. Telugu language, if you give what will be the outcome and all, I have no idea. Because to be very honest, I think back when we gave, I don't think that these options were there. Now maybe they will keep translators or other things they may keep. I'm not sure of it, how that will work out. All right, people. Yeah. So, ratio of manufacturing to agriculture sector deflated tells how manufacturing prices have moved relative to agricultural prices. If the ratio is greater than 1, then manufacturing prices are higher related to agricultural prices, which implies better terms of trade for manufacturing. Let us see that. Manufacturing divided by agriculture greater than 1. Deflator. That means manufacturing prices are greater than agriculture prices. Compared to agriculture prices, manufacturing prices are great. That means here trade is doing really well. Demand is there. Accordingly, the terms of trade for manufacturing sector with respect to agriculture sector, that is the ratio of manufacturing deflator to agriculture deflator, starts high, steadily declines by 50, while its ratio with service sector deflator declines by 25. Unlike agriculture, where prices may have risen due to the prevalence of government support, which is an annual guaranteed price increase, or services which enjoy more pricing power, manufacturing is usually characterized by global competition, cost-cutting technologies, and narrower margins, which might be accounting for this decline in terms of trade. Now, what is the bottom line here? So, agriculture, why will you have price rise in agriculture? Why will be there a price rise? Inflation is low, everything is low, then why is it that, petrol, diesel prices are also low, then why is it that agriculture prices are increasing? That has largely to do with government support. Minimum support price plus fair and remunerative price plus subsidy for urea, all of that will lead to what? Agricultural price increases. What about service sector? Why is service sector increasing? Obviously, international demand is very high. So for service sector also prices can increase. On the contrary, for manufacturing, there is nothing like that. So what will happen? Price will be always low. Value is low. People will not invest in it much. Why are farmers going into agriculture? MSP is there. Support from the government is there. That is why still people are holding on to agriculture. Why is it that the new generation, the Gen Z or Gen Alpha, Gen whatever, Mega, Omega, whatever, why are they all trying to enter into service sectors? Because it has an international demand. There also prices are high. Why nobody is entering into manufacturing or industries? Prices are low. Same reason, therefore manufacturing price is low. Nobody wants to invest in it. Therefore people are taking lesser loan for developing manufacturing sector or industrial sector. Connected with the earlier chapter. Got the point? Agriculture is diversifying beyond crop. Because you have mentioned it, I will tell you. Beyond crop means it is now moving towards what? Ethanol production. That is the diversification that is happening. That is, people are growing an agricultural product, crop called maize. Maize they are going for ethanol production. And this actually gives very high return for the farmer. Because if I am growing maize and I'm giving it for ethanol production, it carries very high rate. Who will pay for it? Government. Or government has set a rate. Private oil marketing companies will have to pay me a high rate for the maize that I grow. Any which way what it is, government has kept a high price. If maize is used for ethanol production, high price has to be given. Again, more people will grow this. More people are into agriculture. Same point again. Yeah, cheap labor supply. Clear? Rural inflation remained above urban inflation. This pattern reflects differences in consumption weights across rural and urban baskets, particularly larger share of food items in rural consumption. Kerala and Lakshadweep experienced inflation above 6%. Two states alone where high inflation was experienced, all due to local factors. Local food supply issues, etc., supply constraints, because of which inflation increased there. Rest of the states in India, inflation was low. Not demand less money, but yeah, when people demand salary, they will only demand it as per the living standards in India. They don't demand it as per the living standards of USA. So relatively speaking, here the salary is cheaper. Clear? From this point onwards, chapter 6 onwards, we have sector-wise coverage now. Technically speaking, the most important chapters are over. It is only sector-wise now we are going to see now. Clear? So in sector-wise, again, let me tell you, I will mark out the names of the schemes there. And anything that is important, I'll mark out. If I am mentioning a scheme, again, like I told you, what you will do is the name of the scheme. Name, obviously, you need name, ministry, year, purpose, anything unique about it, something that is standing out, that you will note down. Clear? So that we will take it up maybe on Saturday. Any questions here, people? Take care, Samarth. If you are happy with English, join the Pinnacle batch. Otherwise, I think it is Prarambh. Tomorrow class will be at 6. Yes, Mohit. Tomorrow's class will be at 6. That is for my CCA batch. This economic survey fourth part will be taken on Saturday. Agricultural growth is steady, not volatile. This year, monsoons did not have much fluctuation. Weather patterns were more or less predictable. Rains, etc., were more or less predictable. Too many adverse events were not there. Extreme weather events were not there. It happened. Calamities and disasters happened. Himachal, Uttarakhand, etc., it happened. But other than that, agriculture as such, if you see, it was not affected. Is it need to learn this much, sir? I am not setting the paper, Shasha Beauty. I'm not the one to set the paper. I cannot tell you whether this much is needed or not. This is ultimately, these are all just the basics. Basics of economics, these are. Whether you write state service or UPSC, economics is a subject in it. Yes, it is helpful for RBI Grade B exam. As of now, you can go for the NCRT series video, what is there in PWOnlyIAS YouTube English channel. That will be more than sufficient. Good night. Meghana, go for the NCRT series given in PWOnlyIAS English channel. You can go for that. Let's call it a day, people.